No cowardly, punctified leader will lead this new generation of young black men and women. Your day of leading them is finished.
I'm Ant, and this is the ThePeopleVS, and right now we're with Shaka Ahmose. Shaka, for those who don't know,
my brother,
let the people know what you've got going on and what's actually happening with you.
Absolutely. First, I want to say hotep to my peoples in the UK and to my people over here in the US, because they're gonna be watching the ThePeopleVS as well. So shout out to the ThePeopleVS. Shout out to HOK. Gotta shout out HOK. Shout out to Black Brainstorm, my show. Shout out to EmbracePangea.com, the family business. That's what it is. So let me say this. There's a lot going on. I have a lot going on, only because there's always a lot going on in my mind. And as my queen can tell you, when the rest of the world goes to sleep, I'm still up. And that's because it's hard to shut this off because there's a lot going on. So let me say this. To my people in the UK, for those of y'all who don't know me, y'all probably wondering what's on my head. This is a Horus lock, or a Heru lock. If you don't know who Horus is, look him up. Then you're late. If you know who Jay-Z is, but you don't know who Horus is, or who Osiris and Isis are, but you know who Jay-Z and Beyonce is, then you're late. All right, catch up. It's okay to know who Jay-Z and Beyonce are, but you also got to know about Isis, Osiris, and Horus, or Set, Osar, and Heru. You have to know, that Holy Trinity. Our people, you got to know your thing. So I have to plug that in there. I am of Kemetic persuasion, if you will. I deal with ancient Kemet, what you call ancient Egypt. So this is what you call a prince's lock. The lock of a prince, or the lock of a noble. I prefer the lock of a noble, right? Who am I to put myself on the level of a prince? I'm not going to do that. If someone else wants to do that and address me as such, that's fine. But there is nothing wrong with nobility, with reflecting nobility. So that's what this represents. So when people ask me, what does that mean on your head? I automatically tell them, it means that I come from a good family. It means that I stand to inherit an office. That is the most important thing about this lock. That above all else, this lock means that you have inherited or are about to inherit an office. So that's very important. As far as what's going on, it's always the same thing that's going on. We teach them, it's all about waking up black people. If you are of African descent, whether you're on the continent or off the continent, if you're in the US, the UK, Australia, Canada, wherever you are, you still have a wake-up job to do. Why? Because somebody is constantly trying to put you to sleep. If you don't believe me, walk around the streets and look at the billboards. Ride on the transportation and look at the billboards. Tell me what you see. Do you see images that reflect you? Do you see images that reflect your greatness? Do you see that? No. You see images of everybody else but you, so that you end up wanting to look like everybody else, talk like everybody else, dress like everybody else. And so we have a wake-up job to do, whether you're in the UK, Canada, the US, or even in Africa. Our people in Africa are just as lost as our people in the US. Our people in Africa are just as lost as our people in the UK or Australia. So it's a constant wake-up job. That's what's going on every day, all day. I'll say it again. Every day, all day. 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. A wake-up job. And we do that by studying, by reclaiming our history, by reclaiming our languages, by reclaiming our women and our men, our children, our resources. And you do that by reclaiming your time. How you spend your time. In fact, we don't even need to spend time with each other. We don't even need to spend money with each other. But we can invest time with each other. We can invest money with one another. We can spend, matter of fact, stop spending. Less spending, more investing. Less spending, more investing. And that includes our time. You understand what I'm saying? To my people in the UK, to my ThePeopleVS audience, that's what it's about. It's about investing more time with one another. If we're talking about marriage, brother, if you're going to buy that girl an engagement ring, don't worry about the money. You're not spending money when you propose to your sister. She's an investment. And she's probably the greatest investment you'll ever make. How many other investments can you invest in that produces another you? Or that produces, you understand what I'm saying? That's an investment. You're talking about investing in a car. A car can't produce another you. A car can't There's a whole lot of things that a car can't do for you that she can do. You understand what I'm saying? So that's an investment. Don't look at it like spending money. You understand what I'm saying? So it's all about how we alter our angle of vision. So we need to start working with new paradigms. You understand what I'm saying? So that those things now become appealing to us instead of a burden to us. She's not a burden. She's not a ball and chain. You understand what I'm saying? She's an investment. She's an adventure. And it's gonna be a different one every day. Some of the adventures you'll like, some of the adventures you won't like. But it's still an adventure. And he's gonna be the same thing for you. He's gonna be an adventure. You understand what I'm saying? But we have to begin to start looking at each other. That's where the possibilities are. When you look at another person, always see a big P on them. It represents possibility. It represents promise. Does it represent problems? Sure. But you know what? This is my message to my young black people in the UK. Check this out. I'm going to tell you what your greatest asset is. Don't you ever forget it. And remember where you got it from. You got it from the ThePeopleVS and your brother Shaka Ahmose. What is your greatest asset? Your greatest asset is not the color of your hair. It's not the color and cut of your jeans. And it's not even those cool sneakers that you think make you fly, that you belong to the commercial. That is not your greatest asset. Your greatest asset is your brain, your mind. Your brain and your mind. And your brain and your mind only has one function. Only one. This is a ThePeopleVS exclusive. We are going to tell you what your greatest asset is and what it's for. And it only has one function. Your greatest asset is your brain. And your brain only has one function and one function only. It does not have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Only one. And it should simplify your life. You know what to do from the time you wake up in the morning every morning. The function of your brain is to solve problems only. It is a problem solver. That is all it is. That is all it is. You call it your nervous system. So you have your nervous system, then you have your sympathetic nervous system, okay, which does it automatically. One needs your help a little bit, the other one does it automatically. But check this out, check this out. Let me tell you why this is important. This is important because I'm going to prove it to you right now. When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you do at?
I count my blessings.
No, that's not true. First thing you do when you wake up in the morning is you go take a leak. That's the first thing you're going to do. Or you're going to go brush your teeth.
Brush my teeth.
Okay, you're going to brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take a leak. Okay, there you go. But if you go brush your teeth,
yeah,
or you go take a leak, what did you do? When you brushed your teeth, what problem did you solve?
Smell the...
fungus. Just cumulative fungus that accumulated over the night.
Yeah.
Okay? When you took a leak, what problem did you solve?
Release.
You emptied your bladder. You got the toxins out of your bladder.
Yeah.
Right? What are you going to do after you walk out of the bathroom?
Go and check on the kids.
What problem are you solving?
Seeing if they're...
Their security and their welfare.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you going to do after that? There's nothing that you can do during the course of your day that you cannot put in the realm of solving a problem.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. And the beautiful thing about looking at it from that perspective is it should instruct you on how to spend your day. In fact, it will instruct you on what to look for. Because once you start looking at your day like that, you're going to find yourself solving problems more. In fact, you're going to begin to notice problems that you didn't notice before. Yeah. And so now you're going to have more. What's going to happen is that you are now going to become better acquainted with solutions. You're going to become more solution oriented. Yeah. So when people ask me, well, what's the difference between me and the average person, because of my own particular, peculiar level of knowledge as it pertains to African people and our history, the difference between me and most people is that I have more answers than questions. The average person, the equation is usually the opposite. They have more questions than answers, right? So what happens when you become solution oriented? You're going to have more solutions than problems. And that's what you want. That's a life worth living. You understand what I'm saying? And what you did also was that you increased your own value exponentially, folks. You understand? And when I'm telling you these things, I'm also reminding myself. So I'm also, I'm on the other end as well. Yeah. If you want to say my car is sitting over there. There's no empty space in the room when teaching is going on. The couch is learning, the floor, everybody's learning. That's an old African saying, right? So I just wanted to share that. I wanted to impart that to the audience. I wanted all of my brothers and sisters to know in the UK, no matter what's going on, whether it's gentrification, whether it's a bad relationship in your life, whether it's you're not able to find a job, whatever it is, know that you were born with the solution. That's your brain. Your brain is there to solve a problem. Just believe in your brain. And that's the number one thing white people never wanted us to do. They never, and don't they question every perspective we have? If we say it's up, they automatically say it's down. Oh, I gotta say this, and I'm remiss if I don't open up with this. Every interview I ever give from this day forward, we opened up with this. Especially if it's black media. White media, I might have to alter it, but you gotta do what you gotta do. But no, I'll probably say it anyway, because they can't deny it. And that is this. The people versus audience. I want you to remember one thing. And this is your brother Shaka Ahmose. If you're black, there's two things you gotta remember. One, a white man's heaven is a black man's hell. That's number one. Remember that. If you don't know what that means, you got a long way to go. A white man's heaven is a black man's hell. The other thing you got to remember is the salvation of the black race will never come from between the legs of a white woman. Remember that. Remember that. If you can remember those two things, now here's the thing, if you're a black parent, because you got young parents, because I know young people watch this show, but if you're a black parent and you haven't taught your child those two things, I don't care what else you taught them as a parent. You failed as a black parent. You may not have failed as a parent. You succeeded as a parent. But as a black parent, you failed. Those are the two things you're supposed to teach your son and your daughter. A white man's heaven is a black man's hell. And the salvation of the black race will never come from between the legs of a white woman. Those two things. So you have to forgive me if I was not excited about Obama. I know whose legs he came into this world through. So I know who he was here for. It's very simple. It's really simple. It's not Chinese math. It's not rocket science or anything of that nature. None of that. That's just what it is. So you always started off with that. When you start off every conversation, you need to do that. Start off every show with that. White man's heaven is a black man's hell. You don't know what that means? You got a long way to go. The salvation of the black race will never come from between the legs of a white woman. Now, if we can agree on those two things, everything else is possible. But if we can't agree on those two things, I know everything I need to know about you. Yeah. You are a deficit. You are a crack. You are the weakest link in the chain, as the game show said. Am I right? So those two things we have to be square on. Because with those two things, we know that we got each other's back. We know the kids are going to be okay. We know we can fight. Everything else we can fight against. Yeah. So let's just be square on that. Yeah. You heard?
Well, listen. This is what I want to know.
Sure thing.
How did you get started? What brought you on this journey? Like, how are you who you are right now? How did you
people, Anika from Comedic Legacy Today, she asked me that on her show, one of the first shows I ever appeared on. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you the same thing I told her. You always hope people ask you that question. When they do ask you that question, you don't have the answer. But I'm going to teach you. I do have the answer, though. The answer is this. Number one, I haven't stopped becoming who I'm becoming. In ancient Kemet, in Medunecha, you have a word or term. It's called kepra, and it means the becoming of the becoming. So we never stop becoming. You aren't who you are going to be. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
28.
I don't remember 38. How old are you?
29.
I don't remember 40. I don't remember 49 or 48. So here's the deal, though. At each of those ages, I was still becoming who I was becoming. But how I became what you see sitting in front of you is, one, choices that my mother made for herself. And the choices that she made for herself was to incorporate herself inside of a certain community. And so she found herself evolving in that community. In that community, her peers and her colleagues were people like Dr. John Henry Clark, who was her teacher at Hunter College. And I'm talking about back in the 1970s, when he was the chair of the Africana and Puerto Rican Studies Department. And so she would sit in Dr. John Henry Clark's classroom daily. And then my mother's second husband introduced her to Africa. He was born here, but he would take her on vacation to Africa every year. So my mother had been to all 52 countries, probably by the time I was in my teens. And she had gone to Egypt numerous times with her spiritual godfather, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakin and Dr. Ben. And so we grew up literally as children running around the room while Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark was speaking, and Van Sertima and Francis Cress Wilson was speaking. And so this is the late 70s, early 80s, all that. We lived that. So we were what I call us the revolution kids, because our parents who were part of the revolution, we were the kids running around. Like right now, if you come here, you're gonna see. But that's what the thing that bothers me about now though is that you don't see many young kids here like it was when we were growing up. When we were growing up and we would come to functions like this, there were young kids everywhere. Just we'd be running around, and we felt safe because we were everybody's child. You know, some older person would look at you and go, "Stop running." Yeah, you don't know who that person was. You just stop, right? Today you tell a kid to stop running, he'd be like, "Who are you? You ain't my," you know what I'm saying? So and so for us, this was a natural thing to see. And then when I got older, this is the important part. When I got older, it's like the preacher's daughter. She doesn't want to hear that stuff when she gets older. She wants to be the wild one in the club. So when I got older, I rejected it. I didn't want to hear it. I told my mother, I said, "Mother, you're racist." All that back to Africa stuff, that's racism. You know, and I'm hanging out. Remember I told you I was hanging out with my white friends in the village and my mixed friends. So I'm thinking, you know, Mom, you know, you're a racist and that's some played out stuff. But when I got older, when I actually hit 25 and real life kicked sand in my face, I was actually, I'll tell you the truth, I don't tell everybody this. The truth of the matter is I was in a relationship with someone who was a Christian, and she wanted to get married and she needed for us to be evenly yoked. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do the Christian thing. And I began to read the Bible, study the Bible, 24. Read the Bible, study the Bible. But when I was reading it, all of that training that I had had when I was younger, it was still in my subconscious. So, like, the words were kind of like moving around in the Bible, and I'm seeing this backstory that I knew was there, but I couldn't articulate it. So, I went to a recording studio to record a song, and a guy, I'm kind of jumping. All I knew was that I knew I couldn't do this thing because there was something wrong, something I wasn't being told. I moved to New York to get a job, and somebody turned me on to Islam. So I said, okay, well, Islam must be the black man's religion. So I bought a Quran, I'm getting ready to take my Shahada, and getting ready to do this, and I'm in a recording studio, and a brother in the studio said, go, because I'm talking to him about Jesus, telling him he has to come to Jesus. I'm still on the Jesus thing, getting ready to fight with Islam, and he says, brother, go to my fire escape, to my fireplace, and bring me that book. And I bought him a book called Medu Neter by Ra'un Nefer Amen, Shechem and Shechem. And he said, open up to 244. And I read the definition of the word Amen. And I was done. All I said to myself was, whoever wrote this knows something about this word Amen that whoever wrote the Bible doesn't know. Yeah. And so I said, I need to explore this more. And on my way literally out of the studio on Jamaica Avenue in Queens, he said, oh yeah, the brothers on the street who sell the books, they got it. I took my last bit of money and I bought that book, Medu Neter. And I read it. I'm glad I read it. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone today, only because there's just so much more that you could know to be accurate. But for then, in 1992, it was good. And I read it. And when I read it, I said, well, I can't do this Christian thing anymore. The next book that I read, which brought me home, back into the fold, which produced what you see now. The next book that I read was a book by Sheikh Anta Diop from Senegal, called The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality. And it is still today one of the greatest books you can read.
Say it again for the people.
The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality by Sheikh Anta Diop, or Sheikh Anta Diop, D-I-O-P. The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality. Read that book. So between Medu Neter and the African Origin of Civilization, it's impossible to turn around and go the other way. You have literally been pulled across the threshold. So wherever you go from there, you're going to be fine. Yeah. If you go to Chancellor Williams' Destruction of Black Civilization, you're going to be fine. Yeah. If you stick with Diop and you go to Civilization of Barbarism or Civilization ou Barbari, you know, that's the original title. If you go that with that one, you're going to be fine. Yeah. It's just that what I recommend is, number one, read whole books. because your generation is being spoon-fed on the internet and you think that you don't have to read whole books. That's like walking in on a movie at the end, seeing a little bit of it, and you think you saw the movie. Don't be episodic in your life. All right? You want to get whole things. You want to get whole ideas. So read whole books. That's important. Too many people read excerpts. I'm so proud of her. She's by my home and she's digging in the bookcase. But she read the whole damn book. She didn't play with it. She read the whole thing. Within 2 visits, I think, read the entire book. And I was really surprised and like, well, I shouldn't have been. But that you have to read whole books. Yeah. And that's what you want to do. And that's that's how I became me. Just by coming face to face with the truth. Yeah. And when the truth lives inside of you, it can only live inside of you but so long without spilling out.
Yeah. So before we wrap up,
Absolutely.
Any final words for the people?
Yes, I have some final words. As black people, this is important. Don't worship white people on any level. On any level. I'll say it again. Do not worship white people on any level. I did not say hate white people. I did not say abuse white people. I did not say harm white people. I said don't worship white people. Do not worship white people on any level. Raise your children to think that way. Do not worship white people on any. There's no small case letters in the word any. It's all capital letters. On any level. Do not worship them. Respect them as you respect any other people. As you respect yourself. But because of the law of life and the law of preservation, you always love your people first. In spite of the bullshit they do. Because black people can piss you off. And I'm black. I know it. I want to strangle my people every day. But I have to love them in spite of it. You know why? Because you, contrary to what white people tell you, you have no choice. You have know what you have a choice in life and what you don't have a choice in. It'll make life much easier. Much easier to grapple with and to deal with and to embrace. The things that you have no choice over, just get on with your life. Take care of those things, do them. The things that you do have a choice over, explore those things. That way you can make informed choices. Avail to yourself as much knowledge as possible. You can make informed choices. But don't lose sleep over the things that you have no choice over. And you don't have any choice when it comes to loving your people. And if somebody told you that you did, they sold you a bill of goods and you bought it. And now you have to live. You have to live with it. I was watching this woman on World Star Hip Hop. This black woman who was in Vegas. She went to a Chris Brown concert and she was crying. And I felt so bad for her because I only saw part of the interview. She's crying because she's in a club, dancing after the concert, and all of the black men are going after the white woman. And she had the short haircut, looking all natural and dark. Those are the ones you really got to watch out for. Because they'll have you thinking they are so conscious. And she's standing there and she's screaming, she's crying about, she's literally crying, going, I don't want to be here. There's no love. There's no love. And I'm like, I wanted to reach out to her and hug her if I could find her and say, sister, it ain't like that everywhere. We love you. But then, when I went to go, because I was going to put it in one of my videos, when I downloaded it and I watched the whole video, she says toward the end, she says, I just came out because I left my daughter at home, and I'm like, oh, she has a daughter. She said, I left my daughter at home, I just wanted to go out and party. And she said, and I can't say anything because, I married white. And I'm like, oh, you married white, we produced him, huh? Married white, we produced him, and now you want to come. See, that explains why the brothers didn't want you, because they could smell that stink all over you. So y'all want to go out there and date white boys because you think they don't divorce you. You think that's what they believe. These black women really believe these white dudes are what they see on TV. No, guess what? White men fart, doesn't smell good. They divorce you. Everything black men do. They cheat on you? Yes, they do. They do. And you're ready to, you know what the real psychosis is that I'm wondering? Would a black woman be more upset if he cheated on her with a white woman or with a black woman? Another black woman. I think she would be more upset if he cheated with another black woman because she would feel that that black woman was not worthy of him. Yes. See, she'll tell you, I like to get people's heads. That's yeah. I'm more, because you have to prefigure people before they drop it on you.
I can see that.
You see that? Yeah. She would be, we're not taught to think of these terms, to look at each other in these terms, to see what little psychoses are at work with us.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. I call it mind fuckery because that's what it is. And guess who fucks our minds the most? We do. We do. Well, you can't blame them crackers for what you're thinking. You have to take responsibility for what you are thinking at any given moment at all times. Why call yourself free if you're not? What is freedom all about if you're not doing that? If you're not taking responsibility for every single thought, that in fact, until you do that, you will not be able to discern between the thoughts that are in your mind that are actually yours and the thoughts that are coming in there from external influence. So a lot of times people make choices on the thoughts in their mind, not realizing that it wasn't your thoughts.
And that's why you have to take responsibility.
You have a lot of homosexuals around here walking around who are homosexuals because they responded to external impulses, not realizing that you were being co-opted the whole time. You were being socially engineered the whole time. You were internalizing things that you may have been going through that are natural, but you internalized it and chose to define your life by it. And then that decision was reinforced. So you have a lot of people out here that they fuck themselves because they didn't take responsibility for their own thoughts at any given moment and say, you know what, wait a minute. And then you begin to choose through the landmine of thoughts in your own mind. You begin to pick and choose and say, okay, I'll take this. No, I reject that. I'll take this. No. Now you're conscious. Because you're not just co-signing every thought in your mind. You understand what I'm saying? So I want you to take responsibility for your own thinking. Why do I say this? Look at white movies. When you look at white movies, they're usually these days they're in outer space. They're on some great dungy ship. Why? Because white people seek after an unnatural universe. Trust me when I tell you, they do. Right? Now, have you ever wondered, what about the kind of universe we would conceptualize? Would our cities look like this? Would our cities run this way? There's a new movie coming out called The Black Panther. Now, in this movie, they're going to show you Wakanda, this black city, this black country that's highly advanced. But my question is, who conceptualized it? I want to know. Did Stan Lee conceptualize it? Did somebody black conceptualize it? Did somebody with intimate knowledge of black affinities, our own aesthetics, did they partake in it? I'd like to know. They may have used consultants. I would like to know. But these are the questions to ask. Because at the end of the day, let me give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about, and then you might see what I mean. White people have population control policies, do they not? Did they ask for your input? Did they ask for your input? I'm asking.
No.
They didn't ask for my input. But have you ever wondered, do black people have population control policies that affect and impact white people? So I've always wanted to know. I ask these questions because when you look at these things, okay, you have Center for Disease Control. Here's my question. Shouldn't we call it the White Center for Disease Control? I would, because I don't know what say we have. It might sound crazy, but what I'm saying to you, and this is why I tell young people all the time, people call me, you can say I'm a racist, it's not an insult. I don't care, that's a compliment to me. The point that I'm making is, yeah, why not? Racism works well for everybody else. It's just really simple. I mean, if you pick up a gun and you see, and if you watch somebody shoot an animal and they eat the meat at night and then nobody's hungry anymore, wouldn't you pick up the weapon and do the same thing? It just makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I mean, unless you're a vegan like her, but it makes sense, right? So what I'm saying is that if something works for somebody else, then why wouldn't it work for you? Okay, but if you see a guy fishing with a fishing pole and he goes, now everybody in the boat can eat. What makes you think it's not going to work for you? That's how I see racism. That's how I see racism. Now, what I tell people is this about racism, and this is the first time I'm saying this on camera. I think it all the time. I was actually saving it for my show, but you can have it. No, really. So I want you to say this to someone the next time. Next time you're in a room and you're explaining racism to people, you don't have to say, I got this from Shaka. You just let it pour out and let them know you're a genius. Really, no, seriously. This is what I want you to do. You look a white person in the eye and you tell them, look, I don't dislike you because you're racist. I'm racist. I don't have a problem with racism. The problem is when you let your racism get the better of you. When you let your racism make you an asshole, then you're just an asshole. Doesn't matter who you are. You can be black, you can be white. If your racism makes you an asshole, then now you're just an asshole. Yeah. You move from racist to asshole. Yeah. And you should be treated like you should be treated. So let's stop pretending that racism is not a part of the human condition. Once you do you use the term human race? Okay, once you use the term human race, if you think of humanity as a race, then you are a racist de facto. Period. You have taken humanity and you have separated it from everything else within the phylum of living organisms. You have. Which is why, which is what white people have done. Which is why the planet is the way it is. You got a hole in the ozone layer, the oceans are fucked up, oil spilled all over the place. Why? Because they think that their activities are separate and have no concern with the ecosystem around it. Climate change. Alright? We ruled this planet for thousands of years. Ocean didn't get harmed. No climate change. That's not true. There was climate change, but it was natural climate change. It wasn't climate change because of it wasn't unnatural climate change. This is unnatural climate change. And that's just what it is. And that's why people are dropping dead in Sicily and in Venice because of the heat in the street. They're literally dropping dead in the street. In Romania, they're dropping dead in the street because of unnatural climate change. Because they have separated themselves. So back to racism. I have no problem with racism. Just don't let your racism make you an asshole. That's all. If you're a racist and you're
no cowardly, punctified leader will lead this new generation of young black men and women.